All right, so Deion Coach Prime Sanders, is in a brand new controversy because of comments he made about recruiting practices and how he looks at certain positions.
Hmm.
Sticks, what are your thoughts on Coach Prime's comments and this controversy?
I'm kind of on both sides of this
Mm-hmm.
because coming from where we came from, there's a lot of truth in what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So what he said, what basically in a nutshell, what he said was for certain positions on offense, he'll look at people like if you're looking at an offensive lineman or a quarterback, he wants that kid to come from a two-parent household, have good grades, dad in his life making him a man and this and the third. But if you're looking at somebody on the defensive side of the ball, he wants somebody to come from the struggle. One mama trying just out there trying to get it, welfare, this and the third. I'm like, okay. So to be honest, I think Deion said a lot of what coaches won't say, and that's just who Deion. That's just who Deion's character. Deion is. That's just Deion himself. He's outspoken. He has that personality. He has that charisma, that character about him. He's gonna say what a lot of coaches won't say. I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
coaches in the nation, probably every coach in the nation. I'm gonna go so far as to say every, but I think a lot of coaches have the same mentality where at certain positions you want somebody with a certain type of attitude and a certain type of character to be in that position.
Yep.
So was it was it was it wrong what he said? Honestly, yes, because that should have just stayed as a thought. Honestly, but
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of other coaches do it? 100% they do. So
Yep.
I feel like it's a controversy only because he left HBCU and went to a PWI, and now that he has that on his back, which was the first controversy. Then
Mm-hmm.
secondly, he's coming out and saying the way his practices are, which a lot of people don't agree with. But if you really think about it, most coaches they recruit like that. He's just the
Mm-hmm.
one. He's just the only one to actually come out and say it. So I can agree to disagree with Deion. Was it wrong? Yes, but do people do it? 100%.
Yeah,
100.
you took the word. You took literally everything you said. Everything you said, I was going to say.
Because
Um,
you
I
come from the coaching space, so maybe you got a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So do your
But
thing. Do your
listen,
thing.
no, no, no. Listen, everything you said, I was going to say. I think
Mm-hmm.
he has a target on his back because of from the black community because of how, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make it racy, but
Right.
because of how he left Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
I think other coaches um, are have a target on his back because of how how much of a splash he's made at the Division 1 level since coming. But
Mm-hmm.
100%, every coaching staff in America, you say you don't want to say every coach, I'll say every coaching staff in America has a
Mm-hmm.
method for how they recruit,
Got you.
and for what type of player they recruit at certain positions. I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. How many? It might be different now
Mm-hmm.
because of the success of Christian McCaffrey, but how many white running backs do you see?
Not too many, bro.
How many white defensive backs do you see?
Not too many, bro.
Exactly. It is a common practice amongst college coaches. I won't say for sure, but that's they look there first. They say, "Oh, he's a XYZ running back. Probably
Mm-hmm.
won't take him." Or, "Oh, he's a 5'8" defensive back or a 5'8" linebacker. Probably
Mm,
won't take him.
right.
Coaches play off of the law of averages. So the
Mm-hmm.
law of averages says if they're this height, this wingspan, this speed, the likeliness of them being able to excel at this position is going to be tremendous.
Hi. Yeah. Facts.
But if they're on the wrong side of the law of averages, which means they're just underneath that, then they have to really excel at one thing that makes them great.
Mm-hmm.
On the opposite of that, if they are on the positive side of all of those, they are can't miss person. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is probably just something new, a little bit more in depth practice
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not familiar with that maybe is in the college ranks now for how they recruit or just what Dion thinks. But like you said, it's a little bit of truth to it because
Yeah,
8 times out of 10, I'll say seven for 6 to 7 times out of 10, uh, a single a boy that comes from a single parent household, single mother household, if he's not a hardcore mama's boy, he got that dog in him.
he got that dog in him. Facts.
Got that dog in him, right? And that's what he wants on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side of that, offensive linemen naturally they have to be smart because they have to know how to pick up certain blitzes.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterbacks have to be smart too. That doesn't have anything to me. That doesn't have anything to do with coming from a single
The family dynamic. Yeah.
or yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the family dynamic. But I guess historically, if you go by statistics, most individuals that excel academically come from two-parent households.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
guess I
I
don't
guess
know the truth. I don't know the facts on that, so
the
that's
true
why
stats,
I'm
right?
kind of yeah, that's why I'm kind of like hesitant to say that. But
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going off of what some common knowledge that I know, I think that's the fact that most academic. I don't even want to repeat
So,
it,
so
but
I,
I
get- I
think
get,
that's
I
what
guess
it's.
the point, I guess the point that I think what Dion was trying to, the point he was trying to make in that was a kid that has a dad, a mom, and a dad in the household to teach him different things about life and about the world would be a lot more, a lot less susceptible to the what Ja Morant's going through.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But he came
Yeah.
from, but I think John Morant, just like I said, I think he's just bored. But he's a
Right.
lot less susceptible to a lot of the influences in the world. He's not looking
Yeah.
for different. Um, he's not looking for a father figure or a mother, or if it's a single dad, he's not looking for a mother figure out somewhere else because he has
Right.
all of that right here at home. So he has a little bit more structure. He has everything he needs at home that he ain't got to be out somewhere else looking for. But
Right.
so not to say he ain't got that dog in him because he can still have that dog. It's just a
Yeah.
little
Well,
bit
it's
more.
personality.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
more cerebral, right?
Right.
Which you need
Yeah.
on the offensive side of the ball. You got to be a little bit more cerebral. But on the defensive side of the ball, you still got to be cerebral, but to a lesser extent because you just trying to hunt and kill on the defensive side, right?
Right.
So
Right.
with that mentality that you had to, you didn't know where your next meal was going to come from. You ain't know, you ain't have a father figure in your life technically, or maybe in that situation, or
Hmm.
you
In
really
the
had
home.
to go, you had to struggle to figure out how you was going to make it through the next day. That's the
Right.
kind of personality that he is portraying, that he is saying that you need on your defensive side of the ball. So it's
Yeah.
like, and it's getting, and just to point out something that Delon was saying earlier, you don't see too many black running back, too many white running backs. You don't see too many white defensive linemen. It's getting a little bit different now, but it was at one point you didn't see too many black quarterbacks. So,
Right.
but that's getting
Exactly.
a little bit different now too. So it's like everything is, it's ever evolving, man, and it's one of those things where it's a complex situation because you understand what Deion is saying if you come from like a sports background
Hmm.
because
Or if you just in football, well, yeah, sports background. But if you just have been around football in general,
in
you
general,
kind of know the dynamics of it. If you play
mm-hmm.
high school sports, you definitely know what he's trying to say. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you're good. You're good.
the arrogance in how he said it,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
he
yeah.
said it, where he said it was like,
Mm-hmm.
ah, prime. I know that's who you are, but
Yeah, man.
yeah, nah, you probably shouldn't have said that.
It just should have stayed a thought, honestly, bro. He should have
Yeah.
that, but because just you pointed out, you said 100%. I was trying to be modest. I was thinking 100% myself, but every coach in the nation has a method to their madness whenever it comes to recruiting, and you
Hmm.
want certain personalities and certain characteristics and certain positions on that field. And if they ain't got it, they ain't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't got it. So I
Right.
mean, but a lot of this controversy is coming down to the fact that the HBCU community has already had a target on his back when he left Jackson State. And
Hmm.
now he's at a PWI talking about, these different family dynamics and how he recruits and stuff like that. It's the domino effect. One controversy
Hmm.
is going to lead to another because of who he is and how they feel like he did things. And it's gonna cause a problem that really ain't a problem, but I can understand where people are coming from because of what he said and the arrogance in which he said it. It did come off
Yep.
as, "Nah, we don't want him. We want him because he has this." You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
But I
So
mean,
yeah,
the thing with that too, though, and it's the last thing I'll say,
yeah,
is it's not saying so. A lot of the backlash has come from more specifically the quarterback position
One
and
hundred
what
percent.
he looks for. And we seem to think that the stereotype only fits non-black people,
Mhm.
right? So
Agreed.
he said he looks for a two-parent household at quarterbacks. We seem to think, oh well, he's not going to recruit black quarterbacks. That's not the case. And I also feel like it's also not saying if a person, if a player or recruit doesn't fit that and is very good, he's not going to recruit him. He 100% is going to recruit that person.
Exactly. Exactly.
He's
Exactly.
just saying law of averages says, again, I don't know where he's getting this information from, but what from what he said, he's basically implying the law of averages says this is the type of person, this is the type of family that produces this type of player that we look for.
And the crazy thing is, if you really dig deep into it, his quarterback, which is his son, grew up most of his life in a two-parent household and had the structure that he needs. So that's not to say that he wouldn't do it. It's
Mhm.
just, it was, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
like you said, it's one of those things where, like, bruh, like it's not that big of a well, it's not that big of a deal to us because we understand it,
Mhm.
but
I can see how it is easily could be
misconstrued.
misconstrued
Hmm.
and taken out of context, or interpreted as another thing, especially if you don't come from that background or if you're just looking for something to catch him on. So
For
what
sure.
I think is he needs to continue to find ways to be who he is, but
Hmm.
also understand that he's not a normal college coach.
Hmm.
He's kind of ruffled some feathers,
Hmm.
and that he needs to, he's going to be heavily scrutinized. So he has to find different ways of being who he is, but not in certain settings.
For sure. For sure. I agree with that. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you've gotten this far, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content. And also, you can find us on all of your streaming platforms wherever you find your podcast.